How's it going, everybody? This is Taris Black, and I'm over here. Let me make sure I'm pointing the right way with my buddy Mark. Good time, I guess, somewhat long time ish. Well, long time, I guess, in the terms of this game, right? Like pretty much since the beginning.
Since the
Um,
beginning, yep.
yeah, I
Mm,
always kind of point to you being like the first, I guess, like legitimate friend I've made through this game. Because
same.
I came into this game pretty much just by myself. I left all my friends because we were playing Magic and jumped all the way into this one. And so definitely, meeting people like you and some others was definitely important. But yeah, so Mark is like my main guy. We're pretty much like just a duo at this point. Um, we started in like a local team, and now uh, it's pretty much just me and you, I guess,
Yeah,
the
a
full
couple other
time.
friends we still hang around with occasionally and stuff like that,
Oh
but
yeah, most
me and you
definitely.
do probably the most testing and stuff together for sure these days.
Yeah, most
Yep.
definitely. And I mean, at least like in terms of still being under the same banner of like lore seekers, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Mm,
It's essentially just me and you at this point. But yeah, so this set champs. Funny enough, I you know, originally my plan was not to play in any of these, and if I was going to play in any, it would be just one, just the good old home base set champs at Dex and Dice. But outside of that, I had like no hype, at least for like the promo wise. Like the promo didn't really catch my attention, but then also just kind of landed in a busy time where I was moving into a new apartment, starting a new job. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just use this month as a break. But ultimately, it ended up being the exact opposite, where instead of playing in none, I played in six.
yep.
Yeah, I really, really grinded this one out. And then you played in what, five?
Yep. Five for me.
Yeah, five. And I
And
mean,
I'm right there with you that
yeah.
I really didn't play in them out of any interest for the Mirabelle. I was mainly just trying to get as much decent practice in for the Lorcana challenges as possible was my main motivation for doing as many as I did.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we definitely had different motivations because I mean, you and then a lot of our friends kind of treat the set champs in that way of like, okay, I'm using this as a practice for the much bigger, more prestigious event. Um, and whereas me, like, I only played in Atlanta and I only planned on really doing one DLC just because I knew it was going to be a crazy year for me, just trying to get, back up from good old unemployment and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
when
no
you
doubt.
when you
It's
don't have
very expensive.
yeah when you don't have a job for a while, DLCs are not on your list of things to do. That's for sure. Um,
Unless you got very lucky to win very well at the first one. Maybe you could have paid for the rest, but was not
yeah,
to be.
yeah, most yeah, definitely not when for whatever reason. I think just because it was like a one and done thing for me, and I expected it to be that, I kind of went in with more of a fun deck, like kind of a little bit off meta with the purple steel rather than just playing my bread and butter uh, red purple. Which, funny enough, now that I just said that, kind of ended up being
Your set
exactly
champ.
exactly what happened with my set champs experiences. Just kind of playing like well, this time it was a super off meta spice purple steel with the broom steel mill, um, and then eventually transitioning to red purple when unfortunately I couldn't get any promos with the brooms. Not this time. Maybe next time I can secure at least
We got
one.
close.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
close.
a couple of them were pretty decent chances, but yeah,
Yeah, I
just
got
couldn't quite get over the hump.
yeah, just like one round off. Maybe if I should, like you said, took it to the one where it was just 10 of us.
Yeah,
And then it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
but then
Probably could have
knowing
squeaked it there.
yeah, and then but then knowing well, I played against a lot of greens, so maybe it actually would have did pretty well there, funny enough. But
Yeah,
yeah. Anyways, that long-winded intro there. But essentially, this video is kind of coming about because of a pretty, I think, interesting topic. Started getting discussed on Twitter. Many interesting topics get brought up on Twitter, and we'll probably start making more videos about them. But this one in particular that I have up here on the screen um, is from uh, Adora Bell. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. And she asked a question just kind of to the community, specifically. I mean, it doesn't say Lorcana, but specifically geared towards Lorcana due to the set champs. And yeah, she asked, "What's your opinion on veterans of TCGs going around to all their local shops every weekend and scooping up all the winnings? Does it matter if they're doing it for resale or for their own collection? I'm curious and would love to open a discourse on it." And I mean, I think since the first set champs, this has kind of like been a
Up every
continually,
time.
yeah, it kind of gets brought up every time.
Yeah.
For different reasons. You see a lot of people that are very like local to a shop, and that's like their main shop, and they're like they're kind of competitive, but they're more like casual. And then next thing they know, all the sweats kind of sweep into the shop that they've never seen these people before. And then next thing they know, like they're the ones that are getting all the promos. And and then so it brings up this discussion. And there's and I thought this was interesting just because if you look on the screen here, you can see my quote tweet. I was just kind of talking about how I feel like there's like multiple branches to this situation, from a competitive standpoint, expectations when it comes to competition amongst new and old players. And then, just inherently like the difference between like competitive formats and casual ones, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and yeah, I think it's an interesting topic, especially if you're very new to TCGs, because it's very understandable if you're new to a TCG, this is your first one, and you get excited because this the TCGs they're hosting like this cool set champs, the promos are great, they're beautiful, whatever it may be, and then you like kind of almost in a way like get your first taste of like the real competitive nature of TCGs. And me playing Magic for a couple years, and I only played it like casually, like 99% of the time, like just playing Commander. But we did have like leagues and stuff that would happen throughout the year where we started getting a little bit more competitive, kind of added a bit more, power into the decks that we were playing because, there was actual, things to win, like store credit and such. Um, and then every once in a while we would have like an actual like small tournament, and then yeah, you would have like the players that you don't really see often show up and bring their like $1,000 deck or something. And and I know we always kind of had like a small like I don't even know, it wasn't even really like we had a major reaction to it whenever they showed up. It was just kind of like, okay, like we get it. This person wants the promo, whatever it may be. Um, and they're just showing up. Um, and I think it's
Was that for? Did they give away promos for Commander, or was
um
it for just regular
it
standard?
was well, yeah, we only played Commander. I think we had a standard event like once, but
Okay.
it was mainly for Commander. And
I didn't know they ever
yeah.
gave away any promos for that, unless it was like up to the store's discretion or something like that. But I wasn't
Yeah,
super involved in that
it
scene.
wasn't like it's not like promos like in Lorcana where it's a
Right.
like it's a
Yeah, because
whole, yeah, it's
when I played, we would do the Friday night magics, and
yeah.
if you did well on those, or sometimes it was just on entry, you'd get like a little bit slightly altered card or something like that of a relevant card at that time, and those are really cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it was
So, yeah, it
something
was
similar to
something
that.
yeah, it was similar to that. And then also like the shop that I played at, um, they would also kind of throw in like they would get like I'm trying to think like a mana crypt or something like something like
Okay,
that
a
was that
bigger
was
prize to chase
yeah,
if
and then add
gotcha.
that into the pool for like the person that would come in first. So of course,
That'll
everybody's
bring
getting
out some
exactly.
competitive players real quick. You start putting mana crypts out
Yeah.
there,
I
no
mean,
doubt.
maybe not anymore, but
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic of conversation. Yeah.
uh, but
Mm.
but yeah, back then, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess just with that crowd, it was never too much of an issue, and I don't know. It's just in the Magic space that I was in particular, like we understood, like okay, some decks are more casual, some are way more competitive. You have closer to the CEDH type of commander decks, and we'd always just kind of bob and weave between them. It was just I mean, well, honestly, that's kind of like
You
the
also have
nature.
a whole nother option there, which is if there's like one in the group, then you can focus that person. You don't
Yeah.
really
Oh
have
yeah.
that
Yeah.
option in,
Yeah. I was just.
standard format and set
Yeah.
champs. But
Yeah. Most definitely. Yeah. That's what I was about to get to. Um, about the whole commander thing is that the nature of the format is that it's very flexible. So it's kind of like dependent on like, okay, how are we feeling today? Do we want to play like some just crazy, like over the top fast games, or do we just kind of want to bust out the pre-cons or something? And I think that's one of the biggest things that kept me around for so long playing Commander was just kind of that flexibility to it. And hey, let that table, play that over there and we'll just play these type of games over here.
yeah,
And I think there's a lot of people that are coming into TCGs for the first time with Lorcana, and I think Lorcana specifically because of the IP, right? Because of the Disney background, I think you kind of deal with uh this case much more often because even when I started and played like One Piece for a little bit, everybody just expected you're playing sweaty the whole time. Like there is no
yep.
casual One Piece or it's just that's kind of like the nature of the game.
Yeah, I
And
imagine Pokemon
yeah.
probably struggled with this a lot for the longest time. I was never involved in it early on, but that's another game where I would assume, more children, more casual people would be interested just because of the cutesy nature and stuff like
Mhm.
that of the characters, similar to Lorcana. And yeah, I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't know how it all, worked out in that community, but it seems to be in a pretty healthy spot.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
yeah, I don't have too much experience with Pokemon. I think me and my buddy Aaron played it for like a week. Like we like got fascinated by it in a week because we're like, oh well, we can build like some of the best decks for only like $70. Why not
right.
try the game out? Um, and then like we just went right back to Magic anyways, just because we didn't feel like putting in the work to find like the local like Pokemon community, or maybe it just like didn't mesh with us. Like we didn't like that just wasn't like our kind of crowd, I
Yeah.
guess.
And sometimes
No,
just the way the game plays just doesn't really interest you.
yeah, and that was like another thing where it was like, okay, like the gameplay's not terrible, but you know, when your first major TCG that you play is Magic, your brain is kind of just
Wired
wired,
for
yeah,
a certain
wired a little
type of
bit different, yeah, and
totally get it.
um, and so yeah, yeah, I'm very curious. It'd be interesting to hear from somebody that played Pokemon for a while if they ever dealt with this happening just because of the IP sake, right? Because
Yeah.
you're already getting like a big influx of younger audience or even just more casual people that like love the IP, love the game, and then you're like, yeah, I'll play a TCG. Um, and in my eyes, any TCG that is strictly like a 1v1 like scenario, I feel like just ends up being like just more competitive. Like you kind of put in a position where it's got to be more competitive because it's 1v1, and like you
Yeah.
could casually, sit down and jam some games, but you know, eh, m- the majority of events that you're going, like I haven't really seen any shops where, it's just a bunch of people coming in during the middle of the week to just casually play like some Lorcana or something.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with that. I mean, I do have one local shop that I don't think you've ever gone to outside of maybe a set champ that
yeah,
we have a pretty strong local group, and it can be it's the best example of a league of all the different stores I've visited so far, where there are
mhm,
definitely kind of more casual people that don't have a lot of money to invest. They just enjoy playing the game and they just want to come and, do a multiplayer pod or play with somebody else with an equally lower, you know, s- lower power level deck and stuff like that. And there's enough
yeah,
people to where everybody can kind of find a game and do what they want to do. And, for me, it's a little bit awkward and I kind of feel bad because I like the people and they're very
yeah,
nice and I want to play with them, but I don't want to go and make less powerful decks or, sleeve them up and all the time it takes to move things in and out. So I'll typically, just play my normal deck and then they get discouraged because they lose and, it's just always a difficult problem to navigate.
yeah,
There's no super simple solution for all of that. But
yeah, and like I said, I think that's just kind of like an inherent, difficulty with any game that's like primarily just based around 1v1 is
yeah,
is because like
yeah,
it's like, yeah, I'm playing 1v1s, like, I kind of want it to be more significant. Like, I don't want it to take forever. Like, I'm fine with a game of Commander taking, a while because we're having this
right,
group interaction, the politics with it. But when it's a 1v1, it's like, okay, well, either I'm beating you or you're beating me. And that's it. Whereas, you could play a game of Commander and be like, yeah, I'm not going to win this game, but I'm going to enjoy the fact that I'm going to help this person beat this guy,
right.
or I'm gonna support like these
Help
other
get a friend over the
players.
finish line or whatever. Yep, totally.
Yeah, so it's like you kind of have those different fun dynamics, which is why I like thought the when I sat and played the Ursula.
The Ursula challenge or whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
like yeah, I already forgot what the specific term was for it. But
Me
but
either.
yeah, but yeah, I thought when I sat down and played that for this first time, I was like, "Oh, this is really sick because now I get to interact with this game in a more fun way where I'm not just sitting there like focused on like I have to beat this person in front of me."
Yep,
Um and I think being able to have ways to enjoy, a game in those different type of ways allows for more casual players to have more outlets and more things like and more ways to interact with the game than just this because you know I'm sure a lot of people can attest to this, but since like the DLCs and the set champs, uh just your every week locals have really been all over the place. Like locals that used to be packed are
100%.
now like almost nobody's there, and then every once in a while now, like for instance, like Flogo, it's pretty cool that you're getting like this big influx of people, but it's all like brand new players, very casual. And I mean, I think it
Yep,
also like goes to the point because they're it's literally a free entry best of one. So
that definitely
yeah, so
helps.
you
But even still,
automatically,
I
yeah,
will not be surprised if some of those new people burn out because they don't want to play and lose every time they show up.
yeah, yeah, most definitely. But I do think it's at least maybe less likely because of the free aspect. Like you're not losing anything. Like
100%.
there's
Yeah.
no stakes in it.
Yeah, I
So
would
you can
hope
kind
they
of
would, enjoy the camaraderie and, talk to us and figure out new deck ideas and all that good stuff. But,
hmm
some people just seems like they just, either they can't afford the investment or they don't want to invest the time to kind of go to that next level. And there's always that bit of a divide between those more casual people and the more competitive people that just, I need to play those games just because I have to play as many reps as I can against as
Exactly.
many different
Yeah.
decks as I can. I can't really afford to, you know, take extensive amounts of time off, or unless I found, a major testing group that was at the same level that we could reliably test against regularly. But
Yeah.
those are few and far between.
Yeah, and I mean, and even when you have that kind of outlet, like there's still something about just playing the game in person where there there's little things that even then like you're still progressing on
A
like how do
100%.
I like how do I manage my nerves in this situation because like you're in person, you're around people, so you're trying to also like get used to that and kind of
Absolutely.
get used to the pressure of people being around you. So it always like plus I mean at the end of the day it's always great to be around people,
Oh, I
physically
completely
when you're
agree.
playing a hobby. So and
Yep.
and yeah, definitely, when you don't have like the reliable at home testing that the original Pixelborn offered, because then you're actually having that skill based matchmaking, yeah, it makes you kind of be like, oh well, I just got to go to these locals to jam games, and
Yeah.
if I gotta pub stomp a little kid one night, then that's that's just kind of what it
It is
ends
what
up
it
being.
is. Yep.
Yeah. So okay, so
Yes.
I want to make uh one thing I feel like pretty clear for people that are maybe on the side where they think stores should make it invite only because I'm seeing that a lot. And I'm seeing, a handful of stores actually do that, right? And I mean, it's a decision any store can make, but as a whole, I if I'm thinking business wise, like, it's like why would a store be like, okay, I'm gonna limit it to, my 14 or 16 local players. Let me do that instead of opening it up and getting like those 34 players that I know will
Right.
show up like and get that 34 crowd. So it's like it's a tough spot for stores to be in, but I think ultimately if a store wants to make more money, then they 100% should make more money.
100% agreed on that. I mean, the only invite only ones I've seen are smaller stores that already have a limited capacity. So
Yeah.
those, it makes a little bit more sense that maybe, your people that are showing up regularly, give them, the first pick, or, let
Yeah,
them sign up early or whatever. If they can fill up the slots, then great. I think that's really an ideal scenario in those cases, but those are not, the average. Most stores, in my experience, either aren't filling up their leagues to where they're meeting capacity, or they have a much bigger store that they'd like to sell out as much as they possibly can and generate as much revenue as they can. And yeah, I don't think it's fair at all to ask a store to, you know, limit their revenue just so their 8 people can get the promos more reliably.
yeah, no, 100% because it's like, yeah, I mean, if the store can only host 20 people reliably, then it should only host 20 people. And, and by doing it invite only, like you said, that the people that actually reliably and consistently come to your store and support you, will have a seat in there because you have limited capacity. But yeah, yeah, when we go to some of these set champs and there's like a huge space, then why would they ever make it invite only, right? Just because some people feel uncomfortable with somebody else from out of town showing up.
Yeah.
You know,
Unfortunately,
yeah,
card game shops is not the most lucrative business in the world, so I'll let them do whatever they need to do to make as much money as they can. I mean, I know sometimes
exactly.
it feels like we're getting overcharged on some things, and we are, but they're trying to do their best to keep the lights on and provide a place for us to locally play games like we were just talking about with friends and get that
Hmm.
experience we need. So, yeah, I don't want to take that away at all.
Yeah, so yeah, from a store perspective, that's kind of just where I stand on the invite only thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, my overall take is just kind of, you just have to manage your expectations for, especially in any hobby that's, built on, competitive play, that, when prizes are involved, especially ones that, are at least worth something. Like, these promos weren't worth as much as, the Stitch one.
Some of the previous. Yep.
But hey, if I can
Still
get a
50, $100 plus usually additional prize support. I mean, yeah, you're talking
exactly.
about
Yeah,
significant financial investment in return for uh, a decent amount of these set championships.
e- exactly. And yeah, honestly, I think during set champs, I think maybe one of the main problems I have, well, I guess, well, for me, no more because of my work schedule, but I think stores being limited to only the weekends seems pretty tough, because you start getting like a bunch of overlap, and then it's like
100%.
with that situation, you kind of get the ability to, I mean, maybe, hey, some of the casual people, if you're listening, you don't want too crazy of competition to get at least one promo, then maybe you can take the overlap into to your advantage, and just sit down and scope the store that only has like 8 9 people registered.
100%. And then always keep an eye out for when the DLCs are. That's a really good weekend to try and miss some of those hard grinders for sure,
Oh
because
yeah,
a lot of them are headed to the DLCs. So that'll
yeah,
help you get, you know, dodge a few. But yeah, I think to be more direct to the question, my opinion on it is unfortunately, with the way that things are currently structured, and until they open up some other league or something that kind of is an in between a set champ and a DLC, it's really the best option we have as more competitive players to get any reasonable high level testing, some of those pressure situations that you were talking about where the stakes really matter, and trying to work on your nerves and making smart decisions in those situations. There's just no better experience, and
yeah,
the large majority of competitive players are going to take as many chances at those as they can, not just for the promos, but like even if there isn't that much at stake, if the competitive players are showing up, then other competitive players are going to show up. And there's just really no way around it unless Lorcana figures out a way to make a more casual environment that really is kind of a bridge to the set champs. It just doesn't exist right now in my
yeah,
experience.
yeah. I mean that, and then also, I think, honestly, I feel like any, well, I guess not any TCG, because One Piece is like, it's a competitive game, and that's just kind of what it is. But that's also like the crowd that loves that type of game. Um, Definitely, I feel like when you have a game like Lorcana and you have like a Disney IP, you're gonna have like a really like decent sized section of people that do just want to like casually play the game, but then like being rewarded, for being a part of the game casually, and I
That does
just,
exist. I mean, the Lorcana leagues, if they're run properly, in my experience, do give promos of, they're not nearly as valuable as the Enchanted Mirabelles or Stitches or whatever, for sure. But, those promos are there, and some of them have gotten decently valuable when playability shot up. And they do get
Yeah.
access to those cards that other people wouldn't.
That's valid. Maybe it's just I don't see enough people talking about League or I don't
Yeah.
know. It's like almost besides the pins, it feels like everybody kind of brushes the rest of the promos and stuff off to the side. Like if you're a collector, you like them, and then also if you're somebody that likes to bling out the deck and they just so happen to have one that fits in the deck, people like that. But most of the time, it's just like the pins and stuff. But the pins are great.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, fortunately, they've actually printed. And when they first came out, every single time I'm like, oh man, these are bad cards that probably aren't going to see much play or whatever. But then some time passes, the next set comes out, and you're like, oh, Bucky's actually an amazing card. Now he's $10 as a promo foil. And then How Far I'll Go was another one that
yeah,
shot
that's a
up
big
in
one I was
price.
thinking about.
And so Finders Keepers just shot up because that card's become popular with the new Ruby Amethyst deck. So I do think there's some value there for the more casual players that a lot of competitive players are probably missing out on because they just don't do it. I do it because I have family,
Yeah,
then I just enjoy that experience whenever I can make time for it. But that's a bit problematic to your other point because set champ season it's basically non-existent. I'm too busy doing the set champs instead. But when those aren't happening, the leagues are awesome for a little bit more casual play.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's
But it's
because
going
we're
to vary league to
sitting.
league.
Oh yeah, 100%. Maybe it's just because we're sitting here and we're having a conversation, so my more like soft side of my brain is active compared to when you're just sitting on Twitter all the time. Because if I'm
Right.
gonna be honest, my Twitter brain is more so like, bro, who cares? People, we out here to win. Like it's just like super like competitive like thinking.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what do you expect? Like it's
Yeah.
people want to win. It's about winning. Winning is fun, and losing sucks. Nobody likes losing. I
I hate it. Mm.
I absolutely hate losing, but also I think you have to as like a very competitive player, you have to kind of put yourself in a mind state of one. Yes, I hate losing, but man, do I learn so much when I lose, right? And I
Yeah.
have
I
to
completely
and I
agree with
have
that.
to make my losses like just very, very big education moments. Um, and then also like being able to recognize the moments where man we had a really good game and I just so happened to lose.
Yeah, and that's very hard to distinguish for an inexperienced player. The more experience you get, the easier it
Hmm.
is to know when those mistakes are happening versus, oh, I drew bad cards, or they had better cards, or their deck was built better than mine. There's just so many factors that can be really hard for inexperienced players to kind
Yeah,
of even start that process. But
yeah,
I will take a
most.
moment to say that if you are struggling with this problem and you want to perform better at set champs, I cannot stress enough how much just one coaching session might help. I've offered it to some of my local friends, and one of my good local friends hadn't won a set champ, had struggled in the Ursula set champs. They finally took 30 minutes to do a coaching session with me, and the very next set champ they did, we got an Ursula promo for them.
Hell yeah.
So it really can be extremely effective, and I know there's a cost to it for a lot of people that they just don't want to spend, or once again, they don't want to have put in the effort. But you're not going to succeed in these things if you're not willing to put in the effort. That's just the sad truth. It's not just
100%.
that person's smarter or better at the game than me. It's practice, it's repetition, it's
Hmm.
understanding a lot more than just what your deck does. You need to understand the meta and what other people are trying to do, and that takes time.
Yeah, and not only that, but I do think uh if I'm gonna be super honest, and this is for like casual players or you know veteran players, anybody, but I think once again, when it's anything that has any slight competitive nature to it, there's a lot of ego involved, right? So I think a lot of people
Time.
do. I do think a lot of people come
I
into set champs and like they're like, oh well, the deck I put together has to be good enough to win this promo today, and then they
Yeah.
get absolutely stomped because they're not playing like a meta deck, or maybe just the certain like small choices in a meta deck that they decided to make just didn't work out for that day, and then now
Yeah.
they're upset because, oh, my choices, they were good, I don't understand why they didn't work out.
I
And
mean, you're a living example of that from your broom mill attempt. You tried it. It was pretty close to good enough, and it just wasn't able to get there despite having an amazing pilot that
yeah,
knows how to play well. You know the game inside and out. And sometimes, yeah, as unfun as it may be for you to not bring that, sweet deck that you brewed up at home, if you want to win, they're meta decks for a reason, unfortunately. You can add your little bit of spice here and there, but those core cards are the core cards that most people play because they're the best cards available in those
yeah,
slots, and they're much more likely to win new games.
yeah, most definitely. And coming in with like the broom deck, I made it very obvious that like, hey, this is a meme, and maybe I can get it to work because my skill set, but does not have enough reps. Nobody's like trying to push this archetype, and especially in this type of way. So I had to put my expectations down to, because like I said, like I originally planned on not playing any set champs at all. Um, but then I like transitioned to like, okay, well, I'll play some, but I'm gonna play it in this way and try to get some entertainment out of playing this weird, crazy deck. And then if I can get a promo, then I'm gonna get a promo. And I tried 3 times, it didn't work. And um, the first 2 times, I think, because I got, like, really close, like, I was, like, 1 round off, I had fun even though I, like, lost,
Yeah.
um, but then that 3rd time when I just, like, lost every single round and it was like,
Yeah.
oh
Mm,
my lord. It was just super, super bad.
yeah.
That's when, like, my competitive nature really came out. I'm like, "Okay, well, yeah, I wasn't gonna play in that many set champs, but now I have to play another 3 more to make up for these 3 losses, and I'm gonna just
Right.
play my main, red purple deck and just get the promos."
Yep.
Um, and not everybody has uh, the resources or like the ability to do that.
Of course, the time and yeah, the money or whatever to do it. a
Yeah,
hundred
like
percent.
me,
Yeah.
I made
Opening.
I
Go
made
ahead.
the conscious decision to not hang out with, my family and not be around friends just to do that. And not everybody should make that decision, and not everybody can afford to make that decision. And I think this set champs really opened up my eyes, because even myself, I think, and a lot of people that kind of are in this community, especially around set champs time, I think a lot of people start getting discouraged because all you're seeing on your feed is people with promos and play mats, and you're like,
Yep.
bruh, why can't I get one of these when like every single it's like when the game first came out and like every other post was somebody saying, "Oh my god, I pulled a Elsa," or "I pulled this enchanted," and you're like, "Where the hell is my
Yeah.
enchanted at?" Um,
Mhm.
and now
Yeah,
we're
the
just like,
FOMO is real.
yeah, and so I think people get so much FOMO, and I am no exception to that during set champs times. But this set champs compared to the last two specifically really opened my eyes to not only, and I always knew that this game had, a decent amount of variance to it, you know, even, outside of like the skill part of the game, but even the set champs are like have so much variance to it. And I kind of like knew that a
Oh, for
little
sure.
bit. I kind of knew that a little bit already from the last two, but because I played six this time, it was like really apparent. And it's like, yeah, you get You get the, kind of the in between, like the first set champs. I think every single set champ I got a promo with red purple was kind of like the different level of set champs that people are running into. Where it's like, okay, the first one I got it. It was like kind of like that mid range skill where me, you, our buddies Justin, Jotham, Sean, all of those guys were there. So it's like you have like that group of kind of newer players, more casual players in it, but then you have the other half where it's like us who are like we're the grinders, we're the the real sweaty guys. Um
Yep.
and then the second one was when you told me, "Hey, don't go to that one. Switch over to this one last second cuz there's only 8 people registered right now." And yeah, and then it just ended up being you pay $20 and you get a promo essentially. Um
Pretty much. Yep.
and then the third one when all you guys were at the DLC, I went and it was like I showed up ready to play. I felt confident, and then I get hit with we all everybody that's there gets hit with the fact that, oh yeah, by the way, we wanted to make it best of three, but we couldn't switch it because we already did the melee. So it's a 2 game format, 4 rounds. Uh, cut the top four. Good luck. And I'm like, "Oh, no." Like, even though the crowd isn't as competitive as the first one, this one I
Variance
really
can get you.
oh my lord, I really have to be on my A game, and so, thankfully,
Yep.
red, purple, and it was literally just every single round, discard. I was hurting, uh, red, purple was able to squeak it through, and I was able to win the whole thing. But yeah, it was like 3 different layers of set champs, and the previous 3 with the broom was also varianced, but I was playing like a meme deck, so my brain wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking
Yeah.
about, can this like stupid deck actually get a promo? um and so yeah,
Yeah.
definitely I would say this set champs opened my eyes the most to the fact that not that people winning, oh, this person won this promo. Is it, did they get it in a legitimate, in a competitive, in like from competitive eyes? Oh, did they get this from like a legitimately like actual like competitive event, or was it just pay $20 get a promo? Like what was it, right? Um, you
Mhm.
kind of had that lens, but at the end of the day, like it doesn't really matter. And then also like it kind of like lessens the FOMO that I felt because I'm like, okay, well, okay, I do have promos, so of course, like, I'm not mad that other people are getting it. But even if I didn't, I now understand, like, oh, there really are like a ton of events out there that are so varied that it's like,
Yeah.
these people,
I
people,
100%
yeah,
agree.
people of all arrays can win a promo, and that's kind of like the cool, the cool aspect about the set champs. And so, I don't know. I think a lot of people that are discouraged by the set champs and want change. I do think the switch from top 4 promos to top 8 promos. I personally think that was a good change. Um,
I agree. Mm.
just because like
I
we,
do
yeah. Go ahead.
think I would prefer it if it was 4 foil and then 4 non-foil.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Uh, but if it has to be one or the other, I'll take 8 over 4 all day long,
yeah. And
without question. Mm.
I do think that as set champs go on, they will keep kind of they'll I think they'll keep changing the structure to be almost kind of like a pseudo DLC in a way, where it's like you get, this for being in these
Yeah,
places, and
more and
then
more.
as you progress, like because there is still that weird middle ground. Like it was super weird in the first 2 set champs where it was like, okay,
That was the worst.
I made top 8, and
Yep.
then I can just lose here and just walk away with nothing, especially if the people decided not to split for packs or whatever the extra
I mean,
store
a lot of
prizing
stores
was.
don't even have extra store pricings, and
Yeah.
so,
But then
yeah,
when they did, and then they decide,
uh,
okay, no
yeah,
split, and then you walk away with nothing because you lost in top 8, like, oh
yeah,
man, that feels terrible. But at least now you're getting something, but there's still now there's still one more round of like a weird gray area
Yeah.
where it's
Now, if you
like,
lose in third, fourth, you're like, okay, well, now I played for nothing, right?
yeah,
If
I
you get to
my
third,
yeah,
fourth.
I might as
Mm.
well just took the promo and saved an hour and got
Uh,
got dinner or something.
100%. Yeah, it's growing pains. It's still a very early game, so I think
Yeah,
hopefully they'll figure it out as time goes on.
yeah, and I mean,
Just wanted to touch
yeah,
on a couple more points
100.
to
Yeah, go ahead.
directly go to the post point.
Mm,
Was one was the fact of like, is it okay if they're collecting them for themselves or if they're doing it for resale? I don't really see any way to stop that. Like, it
yeah,
is what it is. However they're getting them, they're getting them. However, me personally, once I got my four, I did start giving them away. So I gave my extra one that I have so far. If I get another one, I'll give that as well to my friends that are doing the kids tournament, just so they have more in their prize pool.
yeah,
And I suggest other people, if they don't need the money to do that, I don't need it, so it makes sense for me. But that's few and far between in the TCG community. I mean, TCGs are very expensive, and
hmm,
refunding this hobby is a good idea financially. So I do not fault anybody for selling what they get to help fund the hobby that they enjoy.
yeah, definitely. I
Um,
think, yeah, that's definitely, I feel like the most efficient way to fund the hobby. Like, win something substantial, sell that, and so then you don't have to pay for the next event. And then if you can win something from that, you just kind of keep it rolling. Um,
exactly.
from what I know definitely some golden Mickey winners have spoken about, using it as the investment for the rest of the DLCs. Like, cool, now I sold this, made the money, and now that funds me to be able to play the rest of the events all year. And in a way, it's like almost like they
Yep.
were able to sponsor themselves.
Yep.
Um,
And
and
that's a great
yeah,
thing. Not every TCG is that an option.
yeah.
The
I
fact
mean,
that
not
we
every
have
hobby.
valuable
Yeah,
promos, well, or hobby,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. The fact that a lot of people are able to subsidize or pay for their enjoyment of the hobby
Hmm.
is fantastic. The other thing I wanted to touch on real quick,
Yeah.
you were talking a little bit about kind of the FOMO on Twitter and stuff like that, that I do think leads to some of this discouragement from more casual players and is very difficult is the area that you live in.
Mm,
My wife gets frustrated at times because she does a couple set championships and she's not as competitive as me. She doesn't get to play as often as me. She's a
yeah.
good player, but she just doesn't get the reps. And she's like, my friends in North Carolina got a promo, or somebody here got a promo, and it makes me feel like I'm a bad player. And I'm like, it's just not the case. I know you're not a bad player,
Hmm.
but you're playing against some of the best players in the entire game. We're in Central Florida, and the few set champs you go to are stacked with some of the best players in the game from our area. And it's unfortunate, but it is the way that it is. And you just have to be able to reconcile that in your
Oh
head.
yeah.
Try not to compare yourself or what you were able to accomplish against somebody else, because no two set champs are equal, kind of like you were
Yeah.
saying. I mean, beyond the variance of inside the game, the variance of players, the variance of what you drew, there's just so many levels of variance that you
Hmm.
don't have direct control over. And the best advice I can give to folks that really want to earn their own enchantments is coaching. And what we were alluding to before, keep an eye on the stores around you. Don't be afraid to drive an hour to get to a store that may have less people going to it. And that's really the best chance for you to succeed. And there's nothing wrong with taking those chances to succeed. There's nothing. Nobody cares about
Not whatsoever.
how you got your promo. As long as you got it and you feel good that you got it, then you've done your job, and that's what matters.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. At the end of the day, like, if the goal for you is I want to, have this promo for my collection or just to be able to say I want it, then yeah, in the landscape of competition, it doesn't matter, how you got the trophy as long as you didn't cheat, like you
That's
got the
right.
damn trophy.
That's
Like
true. That's a good one.
yeah.
Is don't
Yeah,
cheat,
don't
please.
yeah, don't cheat to get the trophy, get it legitimately. But
That's
yeah, if
right.
you played the game, you got to where you need to be and you get the promo, you got the promo. Like
Yep.
you get the kudos regardless.
They
Um,
don't ask how, they ask how many. It's a old sports saying that we used to say. So it's
exactly. Like your
pretty much the same here.
yeah, like your grandma's not gonna go, "Oh, you only played in a 10-person event. Get the hell out of my
Yeah,
house." You'd be like,
just like,
"Oh, that's
ooh,
really
that's a
cool.
pretty
Yeah.
Mirabelle. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Way to go.
yeah, good job. I'm proud of you. Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, and that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
But specifically if you want to go, but yeah, specifically if you want to go to an event that does have more people there and you want to win, then yeah, you just have to put in the work and, take the steps to getting to that point. And
Yep.
that's all it is. And I mean,
And then if you don't know
yeah.
what those steps are, that's where the coaching can come in. If you're just not sure how to get there, it can
Oh yeah.
really help level you up
Oh yeah. So I
much
mean,
faster than you doing it yourself.
yeah, so I mean, to summarize, veteran or not, play play the game how you want to play as long as you're not physically hurting anybody, you're not cheating. Uh, the game is meant to be
Or
played.
verbally hurting anybody. Let's
Yes,
be
that
good
too. Don't
citizens, please.
Yeah, don't bully.
Please.
But yeah, going to as many set champs as you want, whether you're a good player or not, is not bullying the locals there. That is not what's happening. Um, the stores not wanting to limit and get as many players as they can, or if they are a smaller store and limiting, at the end of the day, it's the store's choice. I don't think either side is wrong. I think either side has merits to it. Yeah, if you want to resell the card or keep it for the collection, I think whatever your reason for wanting the card is really doesn't matter to anybody else besides you. Um, and yeah, I think it's it- it's just an individual thing. It is what it is. And it's anything that deals with competition is gonna breed competition. I mean, that's simple. You put a prize in people's face, they're gonna want that prize. And yeah, you just have to manage your expectations. And sometimes the best thing you can do, especially in a card game, is if you don't want to show up and be the sweaty player that plays like the expensive deck and you want to play the fun deck, then play the fun deck and maybe sit down, think about certain choices of how like it can combat like legitimately combat some of the things that the big decks are doing, and you will be pleasantly surprised sometimes that yeah, a deck that you wouldn't think makes top 8 makes top 8. All it takes is for you to just squeak in. Like,
100%. I
and
mean, there's
yeah.
been times that I've lost to crazy hyper aggro location lists because my deck just had no answer for it, and I think
Yeah.
she ended up getting a top four during that set jam. So you can
Yeah.
definitely get it done with some off meta stuff. It's just a harder road for sure.
Yeah, and you just have to know that that's what it is. But definitely, I think if you're somebody, I feel like it's a trap if you put yourself in the middle ground of casual and competitive, especially if you're showing up to these events with like the meta deck. If you're showing up with the meta deck, you might as well just go in with the full competitive spirit and be like, "Hey, whoever's here that wants to win, I want to win too, and I just got to beat them, and the better player wins." Um, but if you don't like playing the meta decks, then yeah, just manage the expectations with that, and that's kind of what it is. I'm always a middle ground kind of guy. I don't want to say, "Oh, this side is the only way" or "that side's the only way." I just think it's just
Same
about
here.
yeah, I just think it's about mentality and managing expectations. And I think one of the biggest things is especially managing, like I was saying, expectations in terms of FOMO is so easy with especially a collectible hobby. Oh, that person, has more collectible shinies than I do. Hey, it is what it
There'll
is.
always
The
be someone with more than you, so
Exactly.
just
And
try
the
not to.
yeah, and this game is not going anywhere anytime soon. I I can see it overlapping some games, and it already has. But I definitely see it continuing to overlap some games that have been around for far longer. Uh, because yeah, it hits the collectible space, it hits the IP space, and then it just so happens to be a pretty well designed game for the most part.
It'll be fun. Yep.
Um,
My final comment to sign off this thing is, if you do happen to have, if you happen to have played Pokemon or another TCG that handled this issue well on kind of how to, get casual people up to a more competitive level without this strife, I'd love to hear it in the comments, or if you want to find us on X, that would be fantastic. I'm always open to hearing what other good ideas people have had, and if I see Ravensburger people, I can definitely forward that information along.
Yeah, because one thing that I've pretty much always given credit to Ravensburger for is yeah, they like to put their hand out there and definitely try new things, but uh I think they navigate the business the same way I navigate life, which is I'll go for the risk first, and if I fail, I'll, learn from that pivot and just make the correction. And I think them being a business that's willing to make interesting decisions that may not be good or just may not be as efficient as they thought it would be. Um, just doing that is sick, and then obviously having the humility to be able to go, okay, that didn't work, and we'll listen to you, and now we'll pivot. So that's sick from them. So yeah, I mean, just
Couldn't agree more.
yeah, I think as long as you have reasonable uh criticisms, reasonable feedback, it seems like they're willing to listen to the community. So yeah, I mean that's about all the bases. Also, just to loop back over to Mark's point about coaching, we are going to be coaching pretty soon here. That's the goal. There's a lot of great coaches out there already, a lot of really awesome players, and you know, we kind of want to put our hand in that pot, but do it in our own interesting way by just doing a live stream every week, making it free and open to the public. But I mean, the the plan is the main like the way of paying us uh, to do the coaching is by feeding us the content that we can then go over. So if you end up at some point recording a game that you played or recording whether it was on Connect or at locals or something. At some point,
Tabletop simulator.
yeah, anything. Where the goal is to have you guys be able to record that your gameplay, send it to us, and then on live stream and in a non bully way, be able to
a
sit
hundred
down
percent.
and just very you know a productive criticism on not just what you may be doing, but also like we'll be talking about our own mistakes because good lord have I made some terrible misplays and done some terrible things that
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never made a mistake in my life, Taris.
yeah,
No, for sure.
yeah,
It
I've
goes both ways. Coaching
everybody
is going
does
to
it, yeah.
be, complimenting the good decisions, and then just analyzing the things that you aren't doing right, or that we think you may not be doing right or could be doing better. That's all.
Yeah, and also the goal on top of that is to have varying players, top really well skilled players, you know riding along with us, different people throughout the weeks, so that the more the more perspectives you have, the better.
Yep.
Because like anybody, it doesn't matter what player you look up to. I've been in conversations, I've seen it firsthand. We all sometimes make bad calls, and we all sometimes have an opinion that we think, oh, this is the correct play, this is the correct way to do it, and then yeah, the numbers show we were wrong.
Yeah, and I think the co-coaching is going to be even more instructional and helpful for folks because there will definitely be calls that we both have where I'm like, I probably would have gone this line, and you'll say, I
Hmm.
think I would do this, and then we can have an even more thorough discussion on why one may be more correct than another. And I don't think many
Yeah,
other outlets are giving you that level of
yeah,
granularity.
yeah, most definitely not. I mean, I know, yeah, yeah, because yeah, when you have like a one-on-one coaching session, like obviously you're paying that person because they have that high level of expertise. Um, but yeah, just the more perspectives, the better, because you kind of end up brewing in like real time in some ways where you're like, oh, maybe this is the right play, and then they're like, oh, well, maybe that's the right play, and then you're like, well, maybe actually, now that we've talked about it, what if we did it this way? Right. So that'll be really interesting. It'll be sick to do. So keep an eye out for that. The plan is Thursday nights. If it ends up being, a night during the weekend, it just depends on when it's best for, me and Mark, obviously, because we're the main two people. So, um, but right now the goal is Thursday night. But yeah, but keep a lookout for that. Follow me, LSP Terrace on X. Follow Mark, LSP underscore Mark on X, and we will, be posting updates. I'm gonna try to get Mark to be a little bit more active on X. He
Yep.
kind of creeps in there. I see him in the comments and stuff and the
Yep.
replies.
Like some
Yeah,
folks, but I'll put my ideas out there more and more for sure.
yeah. So keep a lookout for that, and yeah, expect more. I mean, I'm not surprised. I expected this to be a 30-minute video. It turns into an hour-long video. It's just a full podcast now at this point. Um,
That's how it goes between us. We can always find fun things to talk about.
oh yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, expect more videos like this. Um, just due to me having the setup now and having a actual structured schedule with work and stuff. So yeah, expect more discussion videos like this. If you guys, have a topic you want us to talk about, shout out to uh, the Podcana guys, in their spilled ink section. We're gonna kind of steal that a little bit, I guess, for just kind of offshoot videos like this. And then obviously, I'm also chronically online, so I'll be seeing tweets that maybe are spicy or maybe just good conversation points like this, and we'll talk about them. And yeah, the big component with us is we love Disney, but doesn't mean we're Disney rated all the time. And I don't think everybody in this hobby should have to be that way. I mean, look at Disney themselves. They're
I
transforming, right? We got R-rated Disney movies now. They have
Yeah,
some pretty adult movies on Disney Plus now. So I don't think
that Deadpool versus
yeah,
Wolverine. Oh boy, that
love
was
that movie.
something.
Love that
No, it was
movie.
awesome.
Uh, yeah, so we might
Uh,
do like random stuff on this channel, like videos wise. Like we might just have reviews for Disney movies that come out. I don't know. We'll do stuff. I mean, content is content, right? So,
yeah, I'm
uh,
down.
so yeah, I want us to have that kind of just real, raw kind of space where we're just being honest and
Yep.
being genuine, and that's my biggest thing is uh just being as genuine to yourself as you can, and and this goes for being a player that wants to be better. Like the more genuine you are, um, the more it forces you to be in situations where you may genuinely be wrong. And and you need somebody else to correct you, and then you learn and you get educated from that. But you'll never run into those situations if you're not just genuinely yourself, and build a community that is respects that, and lets you have your moments, or they have their moments, and so that's kind of the goal of what I want to build here, is to make that kind of unique space in this in this hobby that we all are passionate about. That's the goal. Uh, Mark, I guess I'll
Well
give you
said.
I'll give you the
Said.
final baton if you want to say any farewells about any.
Nope.
I don't know, and then
That's it
we're
for
good.
me. Well, let's close it up.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Like I said already, follow us on socials, like, comment, subscribe, all the basic standard stuff, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace out.